Good afternoon, my faithful viewers. My name is Joe, and I am a weapon of mass instruction. And today's episode is, well, just me rambling. I was up and about last night, and I looked at the old Farmer's Almanac, telling me when the moon was set to rise according to sea level. And I figure I'm a couple 100 feet above, so it was going to be a little bit later than that. Sure enough, it rose on time. So that happened when it was supposed to. It was funny, though, because I noticed some cloud cover rolling in just before the moon rose. Now, granted, the Weather Channel was telling me that it was supposed to be cloudy, but it was just kind of odd that from where I was, that section of the horizon had clouds. Everywhere else was pretty clear. But as the moon rose, within 5 minutes of it, I was able to catch about 5 minutes of the moon rising, looking pretty freaking big. Now, granted, again, it does look big over the horizon, but still bigger than it's supposed to. Looking pretty red, too. Within 5 minutes of that, all these clouds roll in, and the moon was gone, and poof, nothing left to see in the sky at all. And that lasted until just now. It's starting to clear up. So today is April 11th, 2012, and I am driving around and doing stuff. And I think that's going to be the main topic of today's episode, is doing stuff. It does you absolutely no good to sit in your room, in your basement, in your lair, your bunker, wherever, watching YouTube, looking at the internet, listening to all these conspiracy theories, if you don't get out and deal with life on life's terms. And that's pretty much what I'm doing today. Getting my registration taken care of. I just went to the court so I could plead not guilty to the citation I got. I had a chance to talk to my dad. I haven't talked to him in like 6 months. So today's just another example for me, at least, of how when you just get up and do things that you're supposed to do without complaining about it, without being lazy about it, things start to work out a bit better. It's amazing how sometimes you can actually deal with these what seem to be insurmountable problems. For a while I was under the impression that I would have had to go to the other state in order to get the registration renewed there, then come back to this state in order to renew here. But thanks to the cop that stopped me for the citation, he basically let me know, no, here's the thing. You just go to this place, take care of it in a day, make sure everything's signed off, and poof, there it is. It's all taken care of. I just have to pick up the stuff in the mail, go to court when I'm supposed to, tell the judge what I'm supposed to, and make sure I look, decent when I go. My Sunday best, which is basically what I'm wearing now, except with a shave. So that's pretty much that. It was kind of shitty weather earlier, raining, nothing out of the ordinary here, and now it's clearing up, getting a little warmer, and things are looking good. Think of it this way: no matter how bad you might have it today, there are 1,000 ways it could be much, much worse for you today. And if you think about, if you obsess over and worry over what tomorrow is going to be like, it's going to be no good for you health-wise. What can you do? What can you do to improve your station, your well-being today? What's going to make you happy today? I mean, happy, not I'm feeding some sort of addiction happy. So if you're addicted to conspiracy theories like I am, then don't give into that. Because here's the thing. The ruling elite, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Zionists, whoever you want to call them, might be calling the shots from on high. And they might be planning a new world order. They might be planning something like that. But they might not be. And if they're not, then what's the point of obsessing over it? Now, if you're in a position where you can actually figure stuff out and do something about it, then go ahead and do it. If that's your calling, if that's your station, if that's what you feel you're meant to do, awesome, good. As for me, I've learned about survival since I was in the Boy Scouts, going into the Marine Corps, learning even more about survival. Getting that little They actually still used videotapes when I was there, not even that long ago. And they were giving me annual training. I couldn't get to SEER school. I would have loved to. That would have been great. Get my freaking kneecaps busted by some instructor interrogating me or something. But, picked up some nifty tidbits on what to do in a survival situation when you're cut off from friendlies, when you're at risk of capture or something of that nature, all sorts of stuff. There's things that you can learn online, out there in the world. You don't have to join the Marine Corps or the Army in order to get some of this knowledge. You can go online and like on the Android market for like $3, you can get a fairly recent copy of the Army's survival guide and the Army's doctrinal papers, and that's pretty cool. Believe it or not, the Army and the Marine Corps' doctrine is almost nearly identical. There's only a few things that actually differ, other than the fact that Marines tend to get higher quality training overall. No offense, Army guys, but that's pretty much a fact. Back in the day, I looked into stuff like what do Rangers have to do when they're going through Ranger school, and their course lasted as long as my boot camp. And most of the stuff I learned in boot camp and School of Infantry was stuff that they went over and covered again there. The only stuff that was different was some of their field medicine was more intricate. They got a little bit of basic SEER training. They got a huge land nav qualification, so not a whole lot different. I could probably kick it, like when I was still in, I probably could have kicked any Ranger's ass any day. No offense to you Rangers, but on paper, any Marine Corps infantry battalion is special forces capable. They don't say the same thing about Army infantry. And they do say that about the Rangers, special forces capable. However, pause for effect, the Rangers are not considered special forces in terms of tiers of operator training. Anyway, I'm digressing. Learn stuff. Pick up a new skill. Read a book on survival. Read a book on first aid, on marksmanship. Because if and when the shit hits the fan, if you don't know how to shoot a gun, well, that's your modern day bow and arrow. You don't know anything about that, you might, you'd be no good picking up a dead soldier's gun and using it to survive. You'd be no good with any of that shit. So, definitely use the resources at your disposal, be as prepared as possible, and just make today a good day. Make today a good day. Later on, when I know that my daughter's been picked up from daycare and all that stuff, I'm going to call over to my ex and I'm going to call and see if I can talk to her. And, if you've got a chance to spend time with family, take it. I haven't talked to my brother in forever, and then he and my sister showed up at the range to shoot. I wasn't too keen on that at first. But you know what? We pretty much forgave and forgot, because now we're on the same side. We're all thinking about survival and the what-if situations. Oh, hello. It's okay. I'm not going to run you over, jaywalker. And it was pretty good. It was a liberating experience, honestly. To be able to spend time with him, even though we hadn't talked and we have our disagreements, and I'm sure those will crop up in the future. And he's probably even watching this right now, so, I held this resentment for so long, thinking that things were his fault and not my fault. And in the end, they were just nobody's fault. We all made mistakes. And now we're making up for them the best we can. And if not that, just working to make today a good day. Don't mope on stuff. Do what you can. Be a good person. I think that's my main message throughout all of this. I talk about stuff like the New World Order. I talk about stuff like how to effectively ace a person. But that's just my mindset. I'm a paranoid fuck, and I know how to. That's my skill set. I'm a grunt. I know how to kill. And if you ever needed to kill, it's good to do it effectively, not to do it half-assedly, where you leave freaking countless victims of what turned into a shooting spree when really it was supposed to be just self-defense. Like, it really pisses me off when I see in the news or hear in the news or read in the newspaper, like some guy obtained a gun illegally and then shot some cops, or like I heard that going on in New York, or went on a killing spree like that nut job in Arizona, and the immediate response was, well, we should ban guns. That makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. You look at the crime levels in places like New York, New Jersey, where they restrict firearms, and the nut jobs out there that really want to obtain a gun illegally are going to do it. They're going to find a gun out there. The law-abiding citizens eventually might get a gun, or they might just not, saying that's not worth the time and trouble. But like where I live, the gun laws are, people would say, much more lax. And here's what I say about it. Gun control is not about controlling guns. It's about controlling people. That's what gun control is all about. So there's a lot less control over who can buy a gun. So anybody who's a law-abiding citizen of my state can go to the gun store and buy a rifle. They get an instant background check. Any law-abiding citizen can buy a pistol. They've got to be a resident of my state. And there's even provisions for out-of-state people to get a concealed carry permit in my state. So that when they're in here, if they have to go to their place of business, if it is something like that, or they plan on spending indefinite periods of time here, if they're law-abiding citizens, they can do that legally. And that is awesome. You know why? Because the vast majority of gun owners are not psychopathic nutjobs that are out to kill cops or anything. They're not. The vast majority of gun owners are not that psychopath that aced a bunch of people in freaking Arizona. They're not. Because you would be hearing about it every single day in the news. And you don't. Most of the time when you hear about it, like, for example, the one nut job in New York, he as far as I know, he obtained his Ruger Mini 14 legally, but then he illegally chopped off the barrel. So he immediately, went and broke the law. Most of us gun owners don't do that. In fact, in my state, if you wanted a short-barreled rifle, all you need to do is apply to the ATF, and if they approve you, bam, you can get a short-barreled rifle. One single serialized object of that nature, of a Class 3 nature, you can get. I could get a frag grenade if I wanted to, if I was able to prove that I'm a law-abiding citizen of sound mind, and that I'm not about to go and throw a grenade into a courtroom or something, Now, of course, it's going to cost $200 extra per item of Class 3, per Class 3 item, but still, I mean, think about that. It's mind-boggling how people, the sheep that follow the word of the people in charge, simply because they're in charge, because they're supposedly the experts. These sheep will immediately jump to the defense of the ones in power that want to restrict and take away our rights given by the Constitution because one guy did something they shouldn't have done. When instead, maybe they should be thinking about, well, why didn't anybody react to this nut job and take him down before the cops finally showed up and he aced himself or whatever happened, I'm not even sure of the outcome of that. But, there are places out here where people can buy guns legally, and they do, and some of them don't even know how to use them. Now, that's a problem, What I say is the law is fine here. Crime rates are pretty low. If I hear gunshots out in the woods, I know it's just some redneck testing a new gun or something in his backyard. He's not doing anything crazy. Now, I'm still probably going to break out my shotgun just in case I'm wrong. But I'm not going to go out and search for trouble. I'm not going to pull a Zimmerman. That's another example. Do I think he was wrong? Personally, who's to say? Some of the reports of evidence are coming in one way, some are coming in another way. But I've also heard it on the radio, and I kind of agree. If it was a black guy that shot a white guy, would it be called a racial hate crime? You know? Or whatever. And actually Zimmerman, believe it or not, wasn't white, or at least fully white. He was freaking of Peruvian descent, if I'm not mistaken. So there we go. You know, law-abiding citizens should not have their gun rights restricted or taken away. You know, like Charlton Heston said in one of his speeches for the NRA, "You can pry them out of my cold, dead fingers." And that's the truth. This nation, the freedom of this nation was founded on the principle of equal gun ownership. Hell, most of the citizens of the 13 original colonies already had guns, whether they're flintlock rifles, early shotguns, or little, flintlock pistols, whatever they had. A lot of them had them. And there was no regulation. And yeah, there's plenty of crime. There's always going to be plenty of crime. But look at like states where I live in. We'll take let's list all of the more lenient gun control states. And I don't have the stats handy. I never bothered to memorize them, but I did look at them one time. Pennsylvania, Texas, Colorado, Florida, and a lot of others where you can carry legally, where you can have nifty gadgets in your house and not worry about it, all that stuff. Violent crime rates due to shootings or involving guns tend to be fairly low in states like those. Whereas you take a look in New York City, and you're always hearing about gang wars where they're freaking popping out guns left and right, little handguns. And do you think they obtained them legally? I think not. If I was a gang member, I would definitely not want to have my name connected to a firearm that I had planned on using to murder somebody. That's ridiculous. So they didn't go through the law there. They got their guns illegally, through, possibly backdoor loopholes in gun shows, which, that puts a bad name on legal gun owners. When you can go to a gun show out in some state like North Carolina or wherever, that's just for the sake of an example, because I heard there was a big one down there recently, and buy a gun and not have to provide all that much information. They take it on word of faith, on trust that you are a law-abiding citizen because you're asking for a gun. I think they should run background checks there too. And still, no matter where the gun show is, they should still only sell to residents of that state. It makes sense. If you're holding a gun show in a state, sell only to people in that state. There's things that they can do and things that they can enforce that do not restrict the legal gun owners any more than they already have, that still allow us to defend ourselves if necessary. The vast majority of situations that I might get into, I probably wouldn't have to draw for. I'm lucky so far I haven't been mugged or anything like that, or whatever the case may be, or my house broken into, or any of that. I would say a good majority of the time, I wouldn't even need to draw, or I wouldn't even need to use a gun to defend myself. I would be willing to bet that a lot of the time I could probably diffuse the situation through simple talking, or through simply giving them what they want. If the guy says, "Hey, give me your money," if I got a wad of cash in my pocket, why not give it to him? Why not? Now, it's a different story if he puts a gun in my face and says the same thing. I'll probably pretend like I'm reaching for my wallet or reaching for the wad of cash in my pocket and draw, because I would rather not get shot in the whole process. Or if I am going to get shot, I would rather at least have a standing chance of defending myself, But I'm running over time. I'm going to conclude this rant right here. So tell me what you guys think. Do you agree with the gun laws as they stand in your state? Would you like to see them more lenient, more strict? Again, just like anything else I say, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. You like that? I just got an email. All right, I'm going to call it quits right there. My name is Joe, and I'm a weapon of mass instruction. I'll talk to you all later.